Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spoonful podcast. I am one of your hosts. Joining me, as always, Mr. Emmett Watkins Jr., my good friend. How are you, sir? Hanging out with Tyrese and Mark Wahlberg. What is
And
this?
Andre 3000
Andre
and the
3000.
guy whose
Is that
name
Evan
I
Peters?
forgot. That is not Evan
Looks
Peters.
like
It
Evan
is
Peters. I don't know
some
what
man.
movie this is. I don't know what reference this is to. I'm lost.
There's a feature film by the name of Four Brothers, directed by John Singleton, starring all these people and who was War Machine before War Machine? Who was the first War
Oh,
Machine? Main
yeah,
character.
yeah, yeah. Cuba Gooding Jr.
Not Cuba. Terrence Howard
Terrence
is also in
Howard.
this
Why did I
movie.
think it was Cuba Gooding
Um,
Jr.?
I have no idea. That's weird. But
I saw him
yeah.
in the suit and everything too in my
Mhm.
mind.
I mean, honestly, he would make sense for that role, but it just wasn't him for whatever reason. You probably haven't seen this movie either, so I
Have
don't even
not.
blame you.
Have
But
not.
Four Brothers is a good little drama thing where all these people are adopted. Their mother dies, they go back to their hometown to find out who killed their mom, and it's a good movie. I like it. I just wanted a random background. This is what I chose. So Tyrese is gonna look at you intimidatingly for the next hour.
Yeah,
Have fun with
no,
that.
that's fun. I don't think I've looked at you when I'm talking at you. I think I'm just looking at him the whole time.
Yeah, that's a weird angle too. I love it though.
Shout out, shout out. If you didn't know, ladies, gentlemen, and non binary folks, this is the Spoonful Podcast. It is a show where Emmett and I talk about just about anything we want to, and we spoon feed you any topics we feel like. It goes live every other Tuesday on youtube.com/ at spoonfulvids. Glad I can finally say that once again. Make sure you stay tuned on all of our social media. Twitter, we are at Twitter at sorry, but we are at Spoonful Vids. I was thinking about we should probably get a Spoonful Hive just in case.
We might need to do
Might
that.
need
I
to
have
do
to figure
that.
out how to do that. They don't have account switching yet, which is gonna be annoying, but
Yeah, it's gonna be. We'll figure that out. We'll
yeah.
stay tuned.
I was gonna say if you're listening, don't steal it, but like we have a couple days, we could probably snag that for someone else
Yeah, we'll
does.
be all right. We'll be all right. We'll steal it.
Listen.
How the hell you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, just chilling, figuring out this Hive business, which I really like Hive, but
Same.
that isn't what I really want to talk about today, if I'm being 430% honest with you.
Yeah, we kind of did it last week, didn't we?
Well, we talked about Twitter last week, and now it's like, oh, I hope Twitter stays in the very next week. So I found this alternative I really like.
Hey, all our friends are jumping in, so I'm there. I'm Mario
Yeah.
Bros.
Speaking of all of our friends jumping in, also I'm BJ Spun 61 on Hive. You can go at me if you want. But speaking of everybody jumping in, I have been inundated with the fact that it is indeed cuffing season.
I guess so, right? Goddamn.
And someone else has recently got cuffed. I'm specifically talking about we're gonna talk about you in a second, but also shout out very quickly to
Yes,
Linda Garcia and Yusuf McGee.
love them.
Um,
Friends of the show,
yes,
both of them.
exactly. Excellent people. Saw that announcement online, but also before that, saw you get engaged. Look at you. Oh my god, you gotta tell me all the details. So, Bill, tell me everything.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, yeah, very funny that Yusef and Belinda's engagement it was a week apart from Jimena and I's engagement. Totally just at
Mhm.
random, fun little. Just I enjoy that. I enjoyed it when I saw it. I'm like, look at that, Yusef and I, great minds. Well, know what I mean?
Great minds think alike. They're like, "Oh, it's November. It's time to permanently put myself into a
It's a good time.
commitment."
Now it
I
feels
love
very funny to me to make an episode about like, oh, Mario has this big life announcement because we did that like 3 episodes ago.
it. I know it's fun, but hey, it's an important moment in
It's
life.
it's yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
you're
one
at
two
that point
punch.
where you're figuring shit out.
So the thing that's interesting about my engagement with Jimena, if you didn't see it, I posted about it on Twitter. People are being very nice about it. By the way, if you reached out, we hella appreciate you. Jimena and I appreciate you a lot. Very nice things said to us. The funny thing is the idea of both going to school, which funny enough, I'm wearing my school hoodie right now.
Whoop, whoop.
Going to school, which I'm gonna start next month. Well, like January. And engaging to Jimena, I had both ideas at the same time, like both big life changes. I sort of like decided on them the same day, right? Like I
Mhm.
made both of those decisions, and it's been on the works obviously quietly for a long time. I think it's been since like June or July that I've been planning this. The thing I enjoyed the most is when I FaceTimed my dad and then I went over to my mom's house to tell them both the news that, oh, I'm gonna start going to college in December in January, and I have everything set and I did the tests and the whatever and blah blah blah. We had I had obviously lengthy discussions with both of my parents about this because it's a big life moment, and I thought it'd be fun to be like, oh, so by the way, I'm proposing to Jimena in November. Just like a fun 1-2 punch to just overwhelm my parents emotionally. That was a fun day.
I can only imagine. Oh, can't wait for you to go back there. Oh, what?
Wait, what? Yeah, exactly. So it was fun. No, it's been on the works for a long time. It went off without a hitch. I'm happy to say.
Oh,
Although,
you are getting hitched.
eh, eh, although I do have to say, man, it happened. I think I posted about it last Wednesday. So a little under a week from where we're recording it. I actually proposed to her a week ago today, as of recording. Today's Tuesday, and that's a stressful day as it is, right? Like, this
Oh,
thing
yeah.
you've been planning for a long time, anxiety's creeping, even though I wasn't like scared that she was going to say no or anything, right? But it's still a scary thing, right? Like, goddamn, you're putting yourself out there. It's a big life moment. There's still a lot of emotions. And then to add on top of it, that's the day of the Taylor Swift pre-sale, and that
Oh, yeah.
happened that happened in the morning and early afternoon, leading into the late afternoon when I proposed to Jimena. So it was such a stressful day. I'm still fucking reeling from it. I'm still exhausted. I've been
I
exhausted for a week. That was so fucking stressful, but it all worked out. But
I can
goddamn,
only
man, like talk about shitty timing. When Taylor Swift announced the pre-sale is going to be November 15th, and I already had everything planned for November 15th. I had the violinist that we'll get into that story. He was already
I
hired and booked for the 15th.
this
I
man really chose violence.
God, man, you want to talk about me being like, fuck, of course, both of these things would happen at the same time. To the point where
That's horrible.
my Brenda, Jimena's sister, she and I were both trying to get tickets in the morning, and after being stuck in the queue for like 3 hours, I had to be like, I am starting to get legitimately concerned that these two things are going to overlap, and I don't know what we're going to do if they do. Because y'all know me, I can't miss out on Taylor Swift tickets.
Especially, it's been a while since she toured as well, right?
5 years.
Yeah.
I
Well,
can't
there you go.
I can't just be like, well, I guess it didn't work out. Fuck it. I can't do that. But I also
Mhm.
can't not propose to Jimena the day. It was stressful, but it worked out. It worked out.
Hallelujah. I can only imagine. Good Lord. Probably make a diamond with the pressure of the clench that was going on all day.
100%, man. I think I lost years of my life.
Well, at least you're spending them all with someone you love.
Hey, Jimena's
Good
great.
God.
Jimena's great. We
So
love
you
her.
got a violinist? Like, what was the whole setup for this whole thing?
So
Because
yeah,
this
okay.
sounds
I get let,
mildly
let's
extravagant.
let's get in the nitty gritty of it. Funny enough, one of the first questions Jimena asked me after I popped the question, I showed her the ring. It's a ring that is very 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 similar to one she had, like, you know how you can like create your own custom rings or whatever. And she had
Mhm.
shown me one that she was like, this would be my dream engagement ring, right? That was like a $3,000 ring. Can't really afford that.
Understandable.
But I been planning for months, so I was able to find a ring that was almost exactly the same and not the same price wise. But one of the first questions she asked me is like, "How did you afford all of this? Like, this ring looks expensive and the whole thing." And I was like, "Listen, don't worry about it. It's all figured out. You shouldn't be worried
Like
about
the blue
if,
magic behind the
yeah,
counter.
exactly. Don't worry about it. You know all those pellets of powder I've been getting. Don't worry about it. Um,
It's dog food.
all I told her was, I know you're worried about the ring right now being the thing that leads me into financial ruin, but it's the violinist. The violinist is much more than the ring. And that's where I left it. And that's where I'll leave it here. But no, the story is I don't know. Have you ever seen the movie La La Land? Or at least you know about that
Yes.
movie? Okay.
Actually, I saw it in theaters, actually.
Great. I saw it in theaters too. I saw it originally when it first came out with my dad. My dad and I are big movie people. We go watch movies all the time. We had seen that everybody was raving about it. My dad and I went to see it. And this is before Jimena and I were dating. This is when we were coworkers and friends. And I wanted to take her on a date. I wanted to like put myself out there, right? And I told her, "Oh, we
Mhm.
should go watch La La Land together." And it was a first date that never was because long stories we just remained friends after that, right? Like nothing really came of it. I went
Understood.
on an entirely different relationship for like a year and a half. Jimena and I lost touch for a long time. And then we reconnected, and that's when we started dating, right? We sort of revealed to one another that we always had feelings for each other and that, she fucked that date up. I'm gonna put her on blast because it was a date and she pretended it wasn't a date and she messed it up. But anyway, the point
I
is,
want my 650 back for the
yeah,
ticket.
no, so we La La Land has always been like a thing in our relationship, right? Like it's been sort of a staple of it, and we listen to the soundtrack and we watch the movies, and I've bought her special edition steel books and stuff like that. It's a staple of our relationship.
Mhm.
And so I knew that whenever I was going to propose to her, La La Land was going to have to play in some way, right? I was going to have to do something with La La Land. And it took me a while to think about it. I even thought about like renting a theater, but that's really expensive, much more expensive than you'd think. I asked AMC for a quote, and AMC's like, "Oh yeah, we got you. We'll send it back to you." And it was like $6,000, and I was like, "What are you? What? No,
Wow.
no, I'm not doing
That's
that."
insane.
Funny enough, actually, so
$6,000.
I had told Jimena for a while that we were gonna go on this date on Tuesday, right? And I'll explain more. But she had tried to switch up the date on me because this random rooftop cinema that she found happened to be playing La La Land that exact same date. And
Wow.
I was like, God damn it, why didn't I see this before? But anyway, I think it turned out for the better because what we ended up doing is we went to a mini golf place, which is the first place where we went on our actual first date, right? As like people who were romantically interested in one another, and I took her out on a real date. It was to this mini golf place, right?
Putting
And
around. Gotcha.
actually, the name of the place is Puttin' Around.
No. I'm
No,
so unoriginal. I
no
love it.
joke. That's the name of the place. So shout out.
That's perfect. Just perfect.
No, that nailed it. Let's end the episode right now. You know what? That was great.
Striking 1,000. Let's stop now.
So my dad was coming to town also because when I spoke with him, I was like, "We're gonna do like a family dinner celebration thing," and I'd obviously love my dad for him to be there. So I told him to come on down and fly down, and the only flight he could find was for that same day. And I was
Oh,
like, you know what? I can make it work because it'll be a great thing to throw Jimena off. Because I'm going to tell her months ahead of time, oh, my dad's coming over to town. We're going to go pick him up. It's going to be at some point at night. And what I told her, the excuse is like, he's going to land at like 7 p.m., which was a lie. He landed at like 3 p.m., even though the proposal was happening at 5 p.m. I just told him, I was like, you're going to have to wait at the airport a couple hours. Basically I told her like, "Oh yeah, he's here for a business thing. I'm not sure, but let's go play some mini golf, hang out, and then we can go pick him up." And she's like, "Great, perfect, cool." And obviously between me, Jimena's sister, and Jimena's best friend, we've been planning things for months. Jimena's best friend, who's a nail tech artist, did her nails to match the ring, and they turned out
aw.
beautiful.
So that's who Jack Harlow made that song about. Love it. Love
Exactly,
it.
exactly. I sent him the inspiration. And basically, yeah, that we went on a mini golf date, and then I was like, oh, I heard about this really nice like nature walk that leads into the beach and whatnot. we should go check it out because we still have some time to kill. She's like, great, let's do that. We're walking on this nature walk, um, and her sister had left like a kind of like a signal for me on where to go because they had just switched up the trails of the nature walk. So the original spot that we had picked had to be switched. Literally, like, I'm driving to the place, and her sister texts me. She's like, "You gotta stall. We have to relocate. Stall. Do something." So I took like three wrong turns on purpose. I'm like, "Oh man, I can't. Oh, what's happening to me today?"
Recalculating,
Oh, jeez.
recalculating.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a dumbass. Um, and we were walking, and then I hired a violinist to play Planetarium from La La Land. Um, and so the plan and the way it happened is as we were walking, he started playing. I gave a signal to her sister, and then the guy started playing the violin, and that's when it hit Jimena when she heard off La La Land in the distance. That's when it hit her, and she immediately started bawling, and that was like, yes. Like, this is gonna sound weird, but I wanted to see a lot of tears. If there weren't a lot of tears, it was a failure. So when like it hadn't even begun yet, and she started bawling, I was like, nailed it. There we go.
Uh, I know that I don't know that feeling, but I can get pretty
Oh,
close.
it was great. It was
Where you
beautiful.
where you want that emotional impact. Yeah,
Yeah, I was like, no,
that's
she better
beautiful.
fucking cry, man. And it's funny, before the date, she's like, should I wear makeup? And both me and her sister were like, no, it's fine. Both knowing that she was going to cry a lot. And if she had been wearing makeup, she would have looked like a hot mess. We're like, no, you don't
Yeah,
have to wear makeup. Don't worry about it.
exactly. God, that's hilarious. So that's where the whole because I remember you posted the pictures of like it looked like a beach almost,
Yeah,
and that's where
it
all that
happened
took
like
place.
right at the beachfront leading. It was leading out on a little trail, and right at the beachfront, the MVPs of the day, Jimena's sister and Jimena's best friend, they set up like a really pretty trail with candles and rose petals and a pretty little like silk walkway thing leading into the violinist, and then that's where I actually dropped down to the one knee, and she said
Damn.
yes. I guess I should have said that.
Hitting up the well, here's the thing. I haven't gotten far enough in life to even think about how going about a wedding proposal would go. So I think it's very impressive that like you jumped over her head, talked to her friends, even though I do feel like that's probably standard procedure for something like this, but talked to her friends and family and got all them involved so that you can pull something like this
No,
over
they
her.
were they were the
That's
MVPs. The first person I told was her sister, and then we told her best friend. And then the three of us had like a group chat where we were just planning everything. Eventually, I told her parents before ahead of time too.
Mhm.
But
I want to know how that went too, but please continue.
no, I was just saying like
Mhm.
MVPs, shout out. Couldn't have done it without them. They really helped out. They because think about this. They're going to the nature walk to set things up, and meanwhile I'm at home like with Jimena, like, oh, let's watch a movie. I'm trying to distract her to like not realize, wait, where's my sister? I haven't seen her in a bit. So I'm just like, let's go watch a
Yeah.
movie. How about we go do that? So
Yep.
it's fun. It was months of lying, and the funniest thing, literally
Wait,
months of
out of
lying.
context. Just the way you said that out of context was just very funny. It
Dude,
was months of
it
lying.
it was the fucking worst because I felt like I was like obviously Jimena's somebody that I love and she's my life partner.
Yeah.
We've been together for nearly 4 years and I share everything with her. But for like 6 months, I'm hiding something from her. And like
Good
I'm not
God.
letting her look at my phone and I'm being really dodgy about certain things to the point where after it happened, she's like, "You know that I had been feeling like sad for the last month or so cuz I felt like
Oh,
you were holding something from me. I felt like you had a secret." And I was like, "Yeah, it sucked. I never want to do that again."
well, you never have to at this
No,
point.
thank God. Whew.
That's fucking incredible. Now, so your parents had a nice surprise reaction. How did her parents react to
It
all
was
this
great.
when
It
you
was it was a
told her?
very nice, very touching moment. I told them
I'm sure
both
they
at the
weren't
same
like
day.
you.
They're like, "Ah, get the fuck out of here, dude. Not you." No, they're great. I love my in-laws. They're like the sweetest people. We're living in their house right now and we are for the foreseeable future. They're lovely, lovely, lovely people and they reacted very kindly and very well. And the only thing that sucked is that originally I wanted them to be there at the proposal as well. Like I wanted it to be Jimena's most important people in her life, like her best friend, her sister, and then her parents. Her parents couldn't make it. They were stuck in traffic because there was an insane amount of
Ah,
traffic that day. There was like three different accidents on the highway to the point where we barely made it, but her
man.
parents couldn't make it. So that's the one thing that sucked about the whole ordeal. But they showed up dramatically like 10 minutes after the fact, so it was a sweet moment. Anyway,
That's nice. In that case, it all worked out. But yeah, that's beautiful, man. That just warms my heart entirely. Getting the whole violinist to play the movie soundtrack,
it
like
was
that's
great.
just it.
It was good. It was. It
Baller.
was. I also love the
Everything.
way that I dropped it on you. By the way, for people, obviously, people wouldn't
Yeah.
know.
That shocked me so much because like because you were keeping that secret from me too. Like
Yeah,
I knew y'all were
I kept the
together.
secret. The only
Yeah.
people that knew were our immediate family, and then I told sort of the head nurse at work, the coworker, because I had to figure some things out at work too. So she was one
Hmm.
of the earliest people to know, and then my cousin, who's basically my brother, I called him a while ago. But when we recorded last, I wanted to tell you before or after we recorded, but she was in the room next door. Turns out she was asleep, but I had no way of knowing that, and I'm not gonna spill the
Hmm.
beans. So we were
That would
we were
have all that
discussing
just to spoil it.
we're literally on a text thread discussing like just stuff about the show, right? We're like talking about the
Mhm.
thumbnails or whatever it might be in the title.
Yeah.
And two consecutive texts that I sent, it was like, "Oh, if you could do this for the thumbnail, it'd be great." Also, by the way, I'm proposing to Jimena tomorrow. And you were like, "What?"
Dude, it was like by the time I saw it, it was like 2 a.m. I was just leaving work and I see that and I'm like, what the fuck? Like I had to sit down. I was like, oh my God.
You were the first. I
Oh,
told you this, and it's not true. Other than my coworker, you were the first person non-family to know.
and it was a privilege and an honor. And I was very sitting there anticipating the inevitable tweet that would have come from it. And sure enough, it came the next day and I was like, ah,
Make sure to remind me
here it
when we're
is.
done with the show to share the Google Drive that has all the pics and stuff with you,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
we have a
I
gigantic file with the video and everything. It's the whole thing. So I'll show it to you.
Yeah, I want to see video because it's a lot of wholesome vibes because it was your proposal. It of course we just talked about Yusuf and Belinda, and then I've just been seeing like even personal friends of mine. I got one of my friends I'm about to invite to a birthday thing I'm doing next month, and he's getting married next year, and I'm gonna be on that one of
Nice.
the groomsmen there. So like it's just love in the air, man, and it
It's
makes me really
great.
happy.
It's great. It's
It
good.
makes me happy.
See, I set this date. A lot of people asked me, like, why did I pick November 15th, right? Like, it seems like such an
Yeah,
odd date, and it has no significance to our relationship. Obviously, now it does. Prior, it didn't. But the truth is, I picked out, I think it was around June or July. I picked out November 15th specifically, right? And my reasoning was the week before we went to a family wedding of Jimenez, right?
hmm
We did that. And what I wanted is her favorite season is Christmas season, and same for me, right? But we've had discussions about not wanting to get married or engaged at like during Christmas time, right? Like during the holidays, it seems weird like you're bunching two things together. So I'm looking at November. I'm looking at the calendar in November. And the week of the 15th was right after the wedding that we went to, right before Thanksgiving, and right before the full holiday season. And I picked out Tuesday just because of our work schedules, because she worked in the morning and I didn't. The original plan was that in the morning I was going to be setting things up. Turns out I was sitting in queue for 5 hours to get Taylor Swift tickets instead. But
gotta
that was
love it.
that's why I picked it. It wasn't like literally, and I think other people who are happening to also get engaged now are thinking the same thing. It's right before the holiday rush. It's kind of a perfect time to do it, especially if you're going to go out of town or see family members
Yeah,
during the
you got a
holidays.
conversation point now.
It's
Yeah.
the perfect sort of like, all right, let's go celebrate it now with people.
Mhm. Love
So
it,
there's
love it.
that. If we ever have a wedding, by the way, here's a spoonful. What's it called? Exclusive. Here's an exclusive.
Spoonful exclusive.
If, because we don't know if we'll have a wedding, we don't have the money for a wedding. We've discussed maybe just eloping. For now, we're just chilling, right?
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
But if we do have a wedding, you are invited, and I would be honored if you were one of my groomsmen. I will say.
I'm telling you right now, man. I will get. Actually, I don't even need to get on a plane. You're one state away.
Yeah, you
I
can
can just
drive.
drive.
You can drive.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn on one Noah Caldwell Gervais video essay and just make it all down in one essay.
You might have to pause midway through, and be like, "Oh shit, I made it to Florida."
Exactly. I'll turn on the Resident Evil video. It's like 7 hours. I'll make it.
You psychopath.
I am. It's great. But yeah, so happy for you.
Thank
Now
you.
now even more clocks are ticking for me to have a life event in the next year.
Hey man, I carried us this year. 2023 is gonna be your year, man.
Thank you very much. Now next year I either have to go to school or I can't get married if I don't even have anyone right now. So
Yeah,
that's gonna be a problem. But we'll figure it out.
we'll do
I'm
something.
impatient.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
you'll do something. 2023 will be a big
exactly.
one.
Exactly. I'm gonna buy Facebook.
There you go. There you go.
Watch out, Zuckerman.
If you buy Facebook, please just do the same thing that Elon did and ruin it. Like speed run how to ruin a social media platform.
Yeah. I'm just gonna talk to the 4chan guy and be like, hey, want a
Great.
link?
Hey man.
Oh god.
Beautiful. Now to quickly switch lanes a tiny little bit, but it is related to my proposal. When we first made the Discord call, right? You went, "Oh, look at you, all geared up for the World Cup," right? Because
Yeah.
I got my Italy hat. First of all, I'm wearing this in sadness and with a heavy heart because Italy, for the second World Cup in a row, did not make it to the World Cup. And it's especially hurtful this year because last year Italy won the Euros, which is like the World Cup for Europe, right? Like it's the European International Championship. And the best football is the European football. So, like, usually the Euros are good previews to the World Cup, especially when it was a delayed Euro. Normally they're 2 years apart. It was delayed because of COVID, and even though it was the 2020 Euro, it was played in 2021. And Italy won the goddamn thing, making them almost instant favorites for the World Cup because it was going to be the same squad, right? Mere months after we were the champions of Europe, we were eliminated from the World Cup qualifyings. And it's a thing that I don't think I'm ever going to get over. I was talking about it with my dad. Last, for the Russia World Cup, they didn't make it. And, we were pissed or whatever. But the fact that we went from the top to the bottom so quick within months, I think 40 years from now, I'm going to be thinking about it and being like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah.
But
This is gonna be a Atlanta at the Super Bowl all over again, but for you.
it's brutal. And the thing about the World Cup, the thing that makes the World Cup so special, right, is it only happens every 4 years, man. So I've been trying to explain this to Jimena, and I have the perfect thing to explain it with. Every time the World Cup happens, your life is fucking completely different than it was from the time before. Unless you're like, obviously, like in your 40s and you're working in your career, and that's a different story, right? But for the most part, for people our age and even beyond that, a lot of shit changes in 4 years. A lot. Your life
For
is most likely completely different. And this is an example of the last 3 World Cups and how far my life has come. 2014 in Brazil, I lived in Venezuela, right? My last World Cup in Venezuela.
Wow, that's kind of wild to think about, but yeah, that's true.
2018, Russia. Not only did I live in the US, I was in San Francisco for Kind of Funny prom.
God, that was wow. Yeah, it was a very long time ago.
That was Kind of Funny prom 2018, hanging out with you and a bunch of other awesome people. And I was dating my ex-girlfriend. And jump to now to Qatar 2022, I'm engaged with Jimena. Like, that's the thing that I'm like, I was trying to explain to Jimena is like, dude, last World Cup, we weren't even a fucking thing. And now this World Cup's happening and we're engaged, man. Like, that's how crazy the World Cup is. The next time that I see Italy playing in the World Cup, Hopefully, if they make it in the North American World Cup in 2026, it will be 12 years since the last time I saw them play in the World Cup. 12 years, over a decade, man.
Good God. Now here's the question. It's in North America. You trying to get tickets? You trying to come through?
Oh, my dad and I made an agreement years ago that no matter what, and especially now that Italy hasn't played in the World Cup in what will be 12 years, my dad and I have an agreement that if we fucking have to take out loans for goddamn tickets, we'll take out loans. It doesn't matter. It's a literal once in a lifetime thing. We're going to be there at Italy's opener no matter what, dude.
Hell
Because
yeah.
it's a North American World Cup. It's going to be Canada, US, and Mexico, but a majority of the games are in the US. Like it's a
Are
I
they
think
like
it's like a
scattered around the
70%.
US?
Yeah, it's scattered around because normally a World Cup there's a host country, right?
Yeah.
This is the first
Oh, it's
time
a
it's
whole
three.
country.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
normally
Okay.
it's a whole country. It's not like the Olympics where it's one city. For
Mhm.
the World Cup is the whole country is the host. Euros they have done multiple countries before, but not for the World Cup. This is the first time that it's multiple countries. So it's Canada, the U.S., and Mexico, but a majority of the matches are played in the U.S. And there's even games that are going to be played here in Miami. So
Ooh.
we're going. We're taking out loans if we have to. We're robbing banks. Don't matter. We're gonna go.
Robin, thanks. I'll be there. I'll put on the Payday 2 mask. Um, but yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Hopefully Italy can come through. You were telling me that the two left are Russia and Qatar's team right
Yeah.
now?
What I was telling you is because we were briefly talking about how like depressing and awful this Qatar World Cup has been, and it has been for since they announced that it was going to be in Qatar 12 years ago. But just a shitty state of where FIFA is at. The last two World Cups were in Russia and in Qatar. And that's just kind of that's just kind of shitty. That's just kind of
Mhm.
pretty brutal. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Qatar World Cup. If you don't know, it's I wouldn't even say controversial because pretty much
I'd say
everybody's
controversial.
against. I think everybody's
Oh, well then
against
yeah.
it. That's why I don't even think it's
So just hated.
controversial. It's pretty hated, and it's been hated since FIFA announced 12 years ago that it was going to be in Qatar because it was FIFA did it because FIFA's a very corrupt organization and they took a big paycheck from it and they were just like, "Yep, fuck it, we'll do it in Qatar. We don't care that you guys have human rights violations and you guys murder gay people. It's all good."
Yeah.
And just to add to the insult of it, 15. I think they're saying is somewhere around 15,000 migrant workers died building the stadiums.
Ah, yeah, that sounds about right.
It's
Yeah, I heard
it's
a lot about
brutal.
that.
It was basically slave labor. It's just a really weird thing to experience. Where clearly FIFA's wrong for doing this, and you don't really support the things that Qatar does as a nation. But it's still happening. The World Cup is not gonna stop, right? And a lot of people are upset that teams aren't doing more about it, right? And I understand it, right? For example, they just announced Belgium. They had their away kit. It was a white kit with it had an armband that was a rainbow and it said love.
I heard about this. Yep.
And FIFA told them that they're not allowed to wear that. And Belgium's response, the Belgium's national team, was for the group stage, they're gonna just wear the other uniform they have. You have two uniforms per World Cup. They're gonna wear the other uniform, and if they move on to the next round, they'll figure out what they'll do. But a lot of
Mhm.
people have been pretty quick to point out that it would be a much more powerful thing if you step onto the pitch with the uniform, and if you get reprimanded, the whole team walks out. And like at some point, it's bigger than the World Cup, but it's such a weird thing because the World Cup is such a precious moment, and people from the U.S. don't really get it because it's just not a big deal here. But when the World Cup happens anywhere else in the world, and I mean anywhere else in the world, as somebody who
It's
lived in
all that
Venezuela,
matters.
Venezuela has never been to the World Cup, but the world fucking stops, man. There isn't a single event ever that does what the World Cup does to the world. Like, it's paused. It's everywhere in the world.
Mm.
All that you can see, all that you can hear is the World Cup. It's playing on every TV, on every restaurant, and every store, and there's commercials for it everywhere, and there's billboards everywhere, and it is just a fever for 3 weeks. It's the only thing that matters, to the point where, talk about shitty countries, Saudi Arabia today, this morning, did a huge upset against Argentina, who's one of the favorites to win the whole thing. And the king of Saudi Arabia, which horrible person, horrible
Oh yeah.
views, everything, but declared a national holiday tomorrow so people can celebrate the World Cup. Like, and that happens, and that's not a rare thing. Like,
Mm.
Argentina was in the finals of the world in the final in 2014. They lost it. Um, I think it was like 3 days that the whole country just took off. Like, everybody's like, you don't have to work because it's the
Like, out of
final.
sadness, out of mourning?
Well, like, before, leading up to it, the day
Oh,
of, and
just
then
to
the
watch
day
it.
after,
Okay,
where it
okay,
was
okay.
like there's no work, like, and and that's a normal thing. So it's such a weird thing where the World Cup is happening, and it's kind of already too late to do anything about it. And I had a tweet where it was so shitty on the opener, right? The first game of the World Cup, it's always the host country versus somebody else, right? And
Mhm.
normally it's electric, right? The you think of the 2010 South Africa World Cup, where that was an example of what FIFA
Yeah.
claims it's doing with Qatar, right? Of like, oh, we're bringing football somewhere else, to another stage of the world, to showcase that, that who they are, and that they also are passionate fans. When 2010 South Africa happened, that shit was electric, dude. Like, the vuvuzela craze came from that.
Yeah, I remember that because even though I don't keep up with that stuff, that is a moment in time that I
It's a
remember.
moment in time. It was electric, dude. And in Saudi Arabia, I don't know, Saudi Arabia's not mine. South Africa scored the first goal of that World Cup, and I swear to God, the fucking earth was shaking. It was like, it was incredible. The vibes on that stadium were insane. And if you go to my Twitter, you'll see they during the Qatar game, but they pointed at like a section of the crowd, and they were trying to do what's called the Viking clap, which got popularized last year by Iceland, who made it to the World Cup and had a great story where a whole section goes like this, and they start clapping
Yeah.
slowly, and it leads into like really loud, fast clapping. It's a really cool thing when done right. And they were doing it at Qatar, and like, the people, the
Mm.
fans there, I'm 90% sure they were paid to be there, because they did not look like they were having a good time. It was like very
I can imagine.
lethargic. Also happened to all be just men. What a fun
Oh, yeah.
coincidence that is. So it just sucks. The 15,000 people died for like a shitty fan base to like, like, it's just a shitty fucking
Yeah.
World Cup, man. It sucks. It's
I'm
such a
sure
special time.
I'm sure it's just a mixture of people from Qatar who don't care about football at all, who are just like, let's watch this, don't understand what this clapping part. And then people who flew out because it's the World Cup and it's a big deal and are greeted with, oh, you can't, no alcohol sales in the stadium.
Right.
No, you can't
And
sell any
they
type of
did
kosher
that. They did
foods.
that 2 days before. Like, they had agreed to sell
Yeah.
alcohol in the stadium. And I've seen people bring out, and it's fair, say that, in Middle Eastern countries, and in the, what's it called, the culture, alcohol isn't as like linked to sporting events as it is here,
Mhm.
right, in the West. And that's fair. That's
Yeah, that
understandable.
is fair.
The problem is, A, you're hosting a worldwide event, right? It's called the World Cup. And B, you switched it 2 days before it started, man. It's not like they announced it years and years and years ago. Like, 2 days before, they're like, by the way, we're not selling alcohol. And it just adds to the list. I mean, it's just shitty. And what are you gonna do about it? It's just too late, and FIFA
Mhm.
got away with it because they got a big paycheck, and it's just kind of putting a damper on the whole thing.
Yeah, it's rough because the alcohol is less of an issue. It's more of like you said, the human rights things that go on
Yeah,
there. I've
it's
seen some I've
awful.
seen some people getting assaulted for, doing things that are against customs, and the whole thing about like, oh, they're not selling any kosher foods and they don't have like these certain Jewish specific cultural accommodations that other places have, and it's like, we see what you're doing. It's
Yeah,
not cool.
it's
Do
not.
they care because they have enough power and money to not give a shit? Probably not, but it's rough, especially slowly learning more that I know about the FIFA organization and how corrupt it is. It's like
Incredibly.
they're overdue for some karma.
Listen, I think like the idea, the concept of like let's bring football to an Arab nation where it's never been right. It's never there's never been a World Cup host there. Um, some Middle Eastern teams have success in World Cup history. It's not like they don't play it. I'm sure Qatari people love football. I'm not saying that they
Oh
don't.
yeah.
But like maybe don't do it to the fucking country that like murders gay people. Maybe like bring it to a
Mhm.
different one. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
and like the country that killed 15,000 people for the stadiums that will probably never ever be used again.
Yeah, that thing's gonna be deteriorated and like for honestly by the next World Cup.
Yeah.
Ugh,
It just
rough
sucks.
stuff.
And I have no idea what FIFA. I mean, I have no faith in FIFA. The guy who was the president of FIFA when that happened stepped down. Even he said that the Qatar World Cup is a mistake. And now the current fucking guy, I don't know if you've seen it. The current head of
Yeah.
FIFA in press conference was out here talking about how he feels gay and how
Oh, I saw that.
he
I feel
knows
Muslim. I feel Jewish.
and he knows he this is not a joke. The guy's bald. I'm just going to point this out right now. He said that he knows what discrimination feels like because he was bullied in school because he had red hair.
I remember that. That's insane.
What?
Red hair. Well, phew. Considering your actions now as head of FIFA, maybe you don't have a soul.
Bro, they hang dead people in the country that you're in right now. What the fuck are you talking
Ugh.
about?
Yeah, it's fucking insane, dude. I don't get it, man. The ways people can verbally backflip at their way out of responsibility is
Rich
impressive,
and
but
powerful
also
people.
sad.
They don't have
Yeah, it's
accountability.
rich and powerful people. Yeah, exactly. No accountability, but all we can do is well, I don't want to say this is all we can do, but I guess we'll push through this disaster
Yeah.
and hopefully do better by everybody and everything when it comes to the North America side. Because
I just wanna give some respects to the Italian national team for opting to not play in the World Cup due to the human rights violations. And that's definitely not what happened, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
yay, honor among
Shout
people.
out to the Italians, man. We're good people. And the Venezuelans too. Yeah, they've never been to a World Cup,
Yeah.
but they
I
chose
will
to
pinch
not
my
go to this one.
fingers in appreciation.
Actually, I've found myself that I've been doing this more and more. Just the it's in my DNA. Jimena caught me on it the other day.
You're aging up into it.
I was talking to her, and I'm like, "You don't understand the thing," and she's like, "What? You went 100% Italian on me there," and I was like, "Oh,
Oh boy.
oh, I don't know, huh?"
Start making sauce without any reason why.
Just like making it.
Oh,
It's like
it's
we
stir
have
fry.
dinner. I'm like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but it needs a sauce. I'm
Well,
gonna take Brian Altano. Let me relax.
to do a fun segue here, I texted you this earlier, because I beat God of War Ragnarok as an update to last week. One of the best games I've ever played in my life. The post game is incredible, very well done.
I diggity damn.
Emmett Watkins Jr., were you aware that in the video game God of War Ragnarok, released in the year of our Lord 2022, there is a blatant PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale reference?
I was not aware of this. This is probably the best news I've ever heard in my entire life.
Would you like me to tell you what the reference is, or do you want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
experience it on your own?
I mean, I think I saw a clip, but I didn't have the context that that's what it was. People were just like, "Oh, I wonder what this is," and then it wasn't until you texted me that I know what it is. So you
Well,
can,
it's not really a spoiler. I'm gonna say that now if people haven't played. It's a very mild spoiler. You know the conversations that, just like in God of War 2018, when you're on the boat and whatnot, and Mimir's telling you stories, and there's a bunch of. That's one of the most delightful things of God of War 2018 and of Ragnarok. There's some really really good stuff in those little conversations. Some of them are just funny. Some of them are like lore giving. Some of them are very crucial to the story, but some of them are just fun. Like this one where Mimir asks Kratos. He asks him like, "Oh, I heard that in your times you fought in a very high in a very important tournament." He says something along those lines, and Kratos goes, "Oh, I fought in many tournaments." He's like, "Yes, but I heard this one specifically." I want to pull up the exact line because at first you're like, are they referencing like Mortal Kombat or Soul Calibur? And it becomes
The
very,
Ascension multiplayer.
and it becomes at some point very apparent that they're talking about
Yeah.
PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale. Because I'm gonna read it for you. I'm trying to find the quote here. I think I have it. Okay, I have it right here. I also heard you once fought in a tournament. Jesus, video.
Ah, it's video. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
hang
I
on.
was
I
trying to
got
look
it.
up the written quote too.
Okay, so this is what he says. But this particular one, I heard that you did battle with beasts, scoundrels, the undead, princesses, automatons, and the history's greatest musician.
Uh,
Meaning, Parappa the Rapper is canon in God of War.
Not only that, princesses. So
Fat
fucking
princess. Fat princess.
princess, the undead, medieval guy,
Mm-hmm.
scoundrel. So that could be either Sly or Nathan Drake.
Yeah, I think probably Nathan. I think Nathan Drake is probably the reference there.
I think so too.
And then automatons. I don't know who this was. That you tell me. Maybe like, wait,
A
no,
machine.
yeah. I'm like Ratchet and Clank weren't in it.
Ratchet and Clank were in PlayStation All Stars.
Okay, then they were. Okay, so maybe that's it.
I don't know if I call him an automaton though.
I
I'm trying
guess
to
not,
think.
but I don't know. Automaton,
Maybe Sweet Tooth Mech.
maybe. But yeah, I literally played through that today, and I had seen something about it, but I was playing the post game, and it might not be a post game conversation, but it came up to me in the post game, and there's a lot of specific post game content, so that's why I assumed it's a post game thing, but I immediately thought of you.
Yeah, that makes me very, very happy. Just the fact that it's not even like, okay, someone remembers PlayStation All Stars. Literally 10 years later, people are still talking about this game. Thank you for giving me that moment. But it's the fact that they cared enough to like put it into the context of the lore and not just a
Right?
throwaway like, oh, if you look really close at this pixel in this barn,
No.
and oh, it's a thing. It's like, no, someone had to get in the booth and record that conversation.
Have you
And
played any more God of War?
I'll tell you this. Also, first thing before I say that, Automaton was probably Big Daddy from BioShock.
Big Daddy. That makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Totally forgot he was in that game despite him being my main. Have I played more God of War? It might surprise you to know that actually I beat Bayonetta 3
I was
not
gonna
too long.
ask you that. I was gonna lead into that actually. What do you
Yeah.
think about Bayonetta 3? Hit me.
Um man, it is the highest highs and the lowest lows in the entire franchise.
So that second character you control is just like awful, basically what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean they've talked about it in pre-release stuff, so it's not a spoiler to say that you do play as her for some of the game. But it's not that she plays awful; it's that she's tweaked just enough to where it throws off your whole flow. It's
Hmm.
like
I hate
think of
that.
it like this: it's like if you're playing a shooter and everyone knows headshots are the thing you go for in a shooter. Suddenly now you got to shoot their knees.
Like what?
It throws off the entire way you're thinking about these combat encounters. And in the case of Viola is the character you're playing as, instead of Bayonetta, her big main mechanic that everyone knows is witch time. So if you dodge at the right moment, it triggers witch time and it goes into slow motion for a second so you can get in some cheap shots. Viola, she can dodge, but that doesn't trigger witch time. What triggers witch time is parrying. And so you
Hmm.
have to hit block at the right moment, and that's what triggers witch time. The feedback for that is not as good as Bayonetta's dodge. And also, the same button to block is the same button to lock on the enemies. So
Oh,
you'll
that
just be
sounds like
spamming it.
yeah, that sounds tough.
Oh yeah, you'll spam it and then it just darts across the room to like different enemies to lock on and it's like what am I doing? And so yeah, it never felt fun playing as her, but I am not going to spoil why, but you play as her. I'm not even gonna say you play as her a lot. It's split probably like 60-40 Bayonetta and her, but her fights are important. So it's like, oh, it's this big climactic thing, but I'm using these mechanics. And it got to the point where whenever I play as her, I can't just dodge, I can't block damage easily. So I have to like stock up on lollipops and I have to keep crafting lollipops and pausing the game to eat more so I can get more health. It was just frustrating. But it's not just that, just the way that they end Bayonetta, it's Bayonetta was never a game I took seriously for its plot, but it was fun and kind of frivolous enough to where you could enjoy it, but it was mainly in the background.
Hmm.
Bayonetta 3's plot is not in the background at all. It really wants you to know there's a fucking narrative and things are connected and there's a grand story connecting the entire franchise technically. Um and that's cool in theory, but where they ended up with it is a little bit disappointing because it suddenly I'll say this, I'm not gonna say who it is or anything. Imagine if Saved by the Bell ended, and in the final episode, they were like, "Oh, Screech is, like, almost the most important character now."
You're like, what?
Like, the entire show happens, and the last season, they're like, "Hey, let's talk about Screech just a little bit." In the final episode, it's like, "Hey, Screech is, like, the second most important character in this entire fucking show now."
You're like, what? How did we get here?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's that type of turn. I don't love it, and a lot of other people have put out criticism of it. Literally the day after we are recording this, the spoiler cast that I recorded for Bayonetta 3 is going to be
Mm.
going up over at VGU.tv. That has Ty from Uppercut Crit, and I think Gaming Mag as well, and Jarrett Green from IGN. So we're going to
Shout
be
out to
talking.
both of them. Shout out to both of them.
Exactly, exactly. They're big Bayonetta fans, so I was like, we got to do something as soon as this game comes out. And they feel a lot, or at least Ty feels very strongly about the ending of the game. And I was starting to agree with him, but then I was like, maybe it's not that bad. And then I actually got to the ending after the spoiler cast, which yes,
Like,
I
nah, Ty nailed it. He was right.
yeah, Ty was pretty on the money. So yeah, it's a whole thing. Once again, very fun to play when you're playing as Bayonetta. I love so many of the things. I'm not gonna say how or why, but there is a black Bayonetta, and it made me very happy. I know that doesn't make any sense to you with no context, but I was so giddy when I realized what they were doing, and I was like, oh my fucking god, let's go. But like at the same time, all the Viola stuff, blah blah blah. It's just if you want to play a Bayonetta game and you never have, play the first one. If you love that so much, play the second one. If you really need more, play 3. But if you stop at 1 and 2, I don't blame you.
That
Um,
sucks. That's a shame because
yeah.
it's been such an anticipated game. I see. I bought Bayonetta 1 in anticipation for Bayonetta 3, and I played like 5 hours of it, and I just never have gotten back to it. But I've been meaning to because I know Bayonetta, especially I feel like Bayonetta 2 is such a beloved game, right? Like reviewed so well, it got so many 10s out of 10s and everything that I've always been wanting to play it, and I love that kind of action combat games. And when you think about it, there's not a lot of those coming out anymore. It used to be all the hotness, and now it's not really a whole lot. Platinum is holding that genre kind of high up, but never got around to it. But it kind of does suck to hear that Bayonetta 3 being such an anticipated game is a bit of a letdown. Do you think they're going to make more Bayonetta? Like, did they set it up for a 4 or
They have
a
definitely set it up.
spin-off?
I don't want to call it a spinoff. They have set up to where I'll say this. They've already announced that they're working on Bayonetta 4. Like that story came through like
Mm,
the other day.
cool.
So in an interview or something, they talked about it. I will say whatever the next Bayonetta is to a large portion of the fan base, even if it's called Bayonetta 4, it will feel like a spinoff.
Damn, that's brutal.
And it's kind of brutal. I'm not excited for Bayonetta 4, but I will be checking for it. I will look into it and see what's up with it. If it plays the exact same as Viola's character does, I will not be there for it.
So,
But if
okay,
you yeah,
quick little, like, I'm gonna ask you a spoiler-filled question. If
okay.
people out here aren't, haven't beaten Bayonetta 3, mute for
Block
the
out your ears.
next. I'll wave at you when you can unmute. Um, does she die
Audio
or something? Like, is that the thing? Is Bayonetta dead or something? Because the way you're making it sound is like the next Bayonetta is gonna be the other fucking character, not Bayonetta.
I'll say this: if Bayonetta died at the end of Bayonetta 3, someone else should have died with her, and that person's not dead. So I don't know. So I'm gonna say they definitely teed it up. I'm not gonna say Bayonetta's dead, but they definitely teed it up for Viola to be the next main person.
Damn. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
no more spoiler talk. Okay. Okay. All right.
but yeah,
I can't believe God of War Kratos fucking is the new Bayonetta. I never would have seen that coming.
yeah, man. He put on glasses and just like hit the gritty.
Yeah. He's hot. He's hot.
Oh my
He's got
god.
shoes in his tits now.
He's got shoes in his tits. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the greatest sentence I've ever heard. But yeah, long story short, Bayonetta 3 is all I've been just trying to rush through that so I can play anything else.
Yeah.
Now that I've rushed through it, I can play other things. I have not played anything since I beat Bayonetta 3 like 4 days ago.
Okay.
And I will say part of that is due to the job. I have a new
Yeah.
position at the job that is a lot of learning and a lot of coming home and just going straight to sleep. So,
Been there.
it's what it is there. But yeah, I'm thinking I want to get back. I want to get a decent chunk in so I can at least talk about the opening hours that everyone freaks out about. I want to get far enough in to be able to have that discussion. So
I'm
yeah.
excited. I'm still playing God of War. I'm playing on platinuming it, and I don't really platinum games anymore. I don't really look out for that. But one huge shout out, and it makes sense that I'll give to PlayStation Studios games is not only like we spoke on the last episode, they seem to grab me like not a lot of other games do, but them being in house, they really understand how to make a good platinum and a good trophy list that is enjoyable to get, and I don't feel like I have to like slog through because inevitably other platinums when I used to be an avid platinum hunter, there's always one or two trophies that you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, all right. And you'll do it because you're like, I've gotten so far, I'm gonna do it. PlayStation Studios games nail it every time. Where everything that they like say for a platinum, except for Naughty Dog games. Sorry, Naughty Dog.
It got better. Last of Us Part 2 forward.
Yeah, well, for me, not Naughty Dog platinums are not for me because I just don't like replaying the game and having to look for collectibles and shit. It just I don't enjoy that. Right?
They should
Like,
have platinums like Telltale games do.
yeah, I just don't enjoy that kind of game. But when it's a game like God of War or Horizon, where everything that they say is something that I was probably already gonna do, or if I wasn't gonna do, I'm like, well, it's fun anyway. I like playing the game. Let me go for it. So I'm in that right now. Plus, the game near and this is no spoiler, near the end of a game, almost very purposely, right, close to the final missions, a side mission leads into something huge, like something that is gonna put like you can put a lot of hours into. And once I saw that for the first time, and that thing opened up, I was like, you know what? This is the perfect thing for me. Even though I'm the kind of person who likes to do everything and then move on to the story, I was like, this is such a deviation from everything that I think what they wanted me to do this for and what I want to do this for is I want to beat the main story because I'm so intrigued. And once I'm done, I'm going to jump into this thing. And it's very masterfully designed that way. It's almost like I'm pretty sure they did it on purpose, but it's very smart and it came out of left field and I'm very happy with it.
Quick question I want to ask about that. Hopefully this isn't a spoiler, but is it something similar to the mode in God of War 2018 where it was that roguelike mode where you ran the same mission a bunch and had to upgrade your armor to last longer? Is it something big like that?
So they don't have, I think that was I forget the name of that realm because there were the two challenge realms in 2018. There was Muspelheim, that was the like the lava one where it was the combat challenges, and then that
I
one
think Niflheim?
Niflheim, yeah. And
Okay, cool.
Niflheim, where it was that sort of like they don't have that mode anymore. They do have Muspelheim, because I know that mode was one thing that people would point out about 2018 that not being super stoked about.
Yeah, that felt like just content for content's sake.
It did. They have a Muspelheim mode that it takes longer to clear through because of some things that they do. But I pretty much did 1 day session was just clearing that out, and after that I was done. But no, this is obviously you're allowed to visit all 9 realms as they've talked about prior to release. But basically one of the realms it opens up, right? Like you thought it was a certain size and there was a certain amount of things to do, and during one side mission, suddenly there's a ton of new shit to do and a ton of completely new stuff. And that happens literally, I think it's before the second to last mission. And
Soup.
when you are there, most players, and I think that's why they did it on purpose, they're gonna want to know what happens next because where the game ends, you're like you just need to keep going. And it's just very well done. So I have a lot of hours left. Even though I'm done with the game, I have a good amount of hours left, and I'm very excited for it because I just enjoy playing the game so much. It's such a fucking great game. I'm excited to
Buddy.
keep hearing, and I'm curious where you're gonna be at next episode, cause man, this game's a fucking banger, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I got a couple. We're really working a lot hard because I work at a warehouse for a grocery store, so it's Thanksgiving's coming, which
Yeah,
I I forgot to do this, but like in our text messages leading to this episode, I kind of wanted to be like, let's phrase this in the way of like what we're thankful for and your whole engagement. That'll be a fun thing. And then I totally forgot that branding. So
well, I'm
hashtag
thankful for God
energy.
of War and for my engagement.
I'm thankful for like 74% of Bayonetta 3. And I
Fair.
will be thankful for God of War soon enough. But yeah, I got a lot of games I need to get through. Bayonetta 3 is just tip of the iceberg. I got Somerville just came out that I need to get to.
Me too.
I finally was able to get the Resident Evil Village DLC running on my Steam Deck. So
Mm.
I will be running through that very soon.
It's very funny,
It
by
just
the way, that I got my Steam Deck and then God of War came out, and I don't think I've touched it since.
oh,
And
God. Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna like keep like it's not like but right now all that I'm doing is God of War, so I'm like fuck that Steam Deck, fuck that thing.
I'll tell you right now, yeah, God of War over Steam Deck, no qualms there. It is now the Steam Autumn sale. As we were recording, that started.
Yes.
Check some stuff out because I went
Yes.
ahead on your recommendation, you and Blessing's recommendation. I picked up Sekiro in that sale. I started that, and I can already tell if I can click with that combat, it's gonna be
Dude,
amazing.
there's
There's no
one,
stamina
and
bar. It's
Blessing
great.
mentioned it on our episode. There's one specific boss fight at some point in the game. It's earlier. It's not late in the game, but that's the boss fight where the game basically switches it up on you. Not in the way that like they don't change mechanically, but they need to understand and make sure that you master the fucking combat system. And once you are doing that boss fight and everything clicks for you, the game's
Mm.
gonna fucking sing, dude. Like
Ooh.
after that, it's just like angels, dude. It's the best combat system I've ever played is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and I can say that fucking confidently. God of War Ragnarok is a beauty to play, and it doesn't fucking hold a candle to Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, man.
I'm ready for it. I am
Oh,
so
dude,
ready
I'm
for it.
so excited for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it runs great on deck too. So that's I cannot get onto it right now because I got too much to do for
Fair,
gaming
fair.
stuff for PGU. But I got a taste and I'm like, oh man, it's in the back of my
It's
throat, just like
incredible, man. It's
coalescing.
incredible.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
ready for it. So yeah. Good gaming ahead. Good entertainment ahead. I also watched Barbarian recently, which was really a
Barbarian's
fun film.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Barbarian's a lot of
I got a
fun.
lot of good media to experience. I got, people are coming over for Thanksgiving. I'll probably get another movie for all of us to watch and we'll come back with some stuff.
Yeah, I
Don't
will
count
see.
me out yet, y'all.
No, no, no. We appreciate it. I'm very curious to see if by next episode I've picked up Elden Ring again or not, because I do kind of want to try to beat it before the end of the year, but we'll see. I got a lot of stuff to do in God of War, man.
Okay, we'll see how you feel about it compared to God of War. Because I stopped playing Sekiro and was like, all right, I need to play something from this year so I can have an opinion about it. And I got back into Elden Ring and I was like, oh man, a stamina bar. Oh man, less mobility.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is rough.
Listen,
So
I know what Elden Ring's about, and I know that I still have a lot ahead of me, but
it is
I
Sekiro though.
I don't I don't see any game beat out God of War for me right now. It's
Evil West just came out. I don't know. We
hey
might
man,
have some competition.
Callisto
Hey, I'm
Protocol.
I'm excited for Evil West. I'm gonna play that at some point. Callisto Protocol as well looks cool, but I can't imagine a world in which Callisto Protocol is trying to pull on the emotions that God of War is trying to pull on.
Dude,
So
let me tell you. End of the game. I had choked up a few times during the game. There's a specific moment that's shocking, that is emotional. Um, but then there's a couple moments towards the ending that full blown got me, like full
oh.
blown crying on my seat. And then there's you roll credits, and it's very similar to the first game where I remember you spread phase ashes, and then as you're going down, the credits are going, and there's still a conversation going on. They do
Mhm.
that in here too, and then there's a side mission that you can do after that. That full blown leads to credits. It's the only cut of the game, right? Because it cuts to black and full blown leads to
Oh.
credits.
Oh,
That side
that
mission,
gave me chills.
dude. That side mission, I like while the credits were happening, and it plays a song that I didn't know was a song. I tweeted about it. That the fucking
Bear McCreary?
musical, yeah, Burma Creary did with
Yeah.
Hosier, the guy from.
Oh, yeah.
They
I
did a
remember hearing
song
that, yeah.
together. It's called "Blood on the Snow" or something like that.
Uh,
Bloodshed on upon the snow. It's something like that.
so a Kanye cover. No, I'm kidding.
It's
Blood on the
and it's a
Leaves.
really good song that melts the God of War track with like Hosier's vocal, and the way that they melded that song to the soundtrack to the moment that was happening on that side quest, dude, I cried the entire theaters, like full blown, like fucking.
Ooh,
Oh,
God.
what a
I'll make sure
game!
not to wear makeup when I play the game.
Don't wear makeup. Don't wear makeup.
Uh,
Anything else you'd like to say to the lovely people over here?
Pretty much it. Like I said, VGU.TV. You'll see the Players Club podcast episode for the Bayonetta spoiler cast pretty soon. And follow me on Hive because Hive is pretty fun. We'll talk about that later on, maybe. But yeah, I'm enjoying that app.
Hive is fun. I'm at Mario Bros. He's at EJ Sponge 61. Spoonful is hopefully at Spoonful Vids. We'll try to make that happen.
If you work at Meta and/or Facebook, DM me on Twitter because my account has been compromised and has been unlocked forever, and it will be deleted in 2 weeks.
Mark
So I
Zuckerberg, I
want
know you're
people.
out there listening, so
Yeah, come.
hit us
I
up.
know I just talked shit on you like an hour ago, but like help me, please. But yeah,
If you
that's all.
had to be, we'll end it here. If you had to be friends with Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk,
Here's the thing.
if one of them had to have your phone number and like texted you semi regularly,
They're both morally compromised, but I feel like if the bare minimum, like the bottom of the barrel things that's great for, at least Elon Musk is like interesting, where I guarantee you, like fucking Zuckerberg is just a slate. He's just like a white sheet of paper personified.
he texted you hello with a dot, and that's how he says what's up.
Yes. Like every time, like every conversation he starts in a text chat is just hello, capital letter, period. Like
Yeah.
he's a fucking bot chat.
And then he like every text he ends with like Mark. You know, I
Yes.
fucking
Oh
know
my
it's
god.
you, Mark. Like I fucking get it.
Exactly.
That yeah, for sure.
And that would absolutely suck. And see, I
But
don't know if that's worse than
think of how
like
many bad memes Elon Musk is gonna fucking text you. Like think
he's
of
gonna be
that.
like he's gonna be like the grandmothers on Facebook that post weird memes when it's not even your birthday or anything. They're just like,
Right.
oh, I found this meme, thought it was funny. Here's it on your wall.
Yeah. That'll yeah. It's a
God.
tough one, man. It's a catch 22.
Then like 20% of them are like racist, and you're like, oh, how'd you find that? Where'd you go? Oh
Grandma,
no.
grandma, you can't say that. You can't say that.
Exactly. And it's not even a back in my day. It's just, oh, all my friends say, and it's like, you're not your friends. Don't.
You gotta stop that. You gotta hang out with
Who are
different
your
people,
friends? They
grandma.
shouldn't say it either.
You gotta hang out
Oh
with different
god.
people, grandma.
Exactly. Good God. So get off of any social media with a number in the title. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh God.
Ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary folks, we will see you in a couple weeks. Peace.